Order. I ask all present to please rise and join with me as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In the absence of clergy, I would ask that everyone please bow their heads in a moment of silent prayer and reflection. The reading of the Journal.
The Senate Tuesday, June 7th, the Senate met pursuant to adjournment. The Journal of Monday, June 6th was read and approved. And on motion, Senate adjourned.
Without objection, the Journal will stand approved as read. Presentation of petitions, messages from the Assembly, messages from the Governor, messages from the Assembly.
On page 11, Senator Lanza moved to discharge from the Committee on Housing Assembly Bill number 8140A and substitute the identical Senate Bill 3342A, third reading calendar 393. On page 22, Senator Ritchie moved to discharge from the Committee on Agriculture Assembly Bill number 9536 and substituted for the identical Senate Bill 7011A, third reading calendar 761. On page 28, Senator Croce moved to discharge from the Committee on Higher Education Assembly Bill number 9118 and substitute the identical Senate Bill 6942, third reading calendar 928. On page 30, Senator Croce moved to discharge from the Committee on Corporations and Authorities Assembly Bill number 9751 and substitute the identical Senate Bill 7198, third reading calendar 1025. On page 32, Senator Avella moved to discharge from the Committee on Environmental Conservation Assembly Bill number 9289 and substitute the identical Senate Bill 6630, third reading calendar 1061. On page 34, Senator Griffo moved to discharge from the Committee on Cultural Affairs and Tourism Assembly Bill number 9860 and substitute the identical Senate Bill 7231, third reading calendar 1087. On page 35, Senator Funke moved to discharge from the Committee on Social Services Assembly Bill number 9317 and substituted the identical Senate Bill 7278, third reading calendar 1097. On page 42, Senator Savino moved to discharge from the Committee on Labor Assembly Bill number 9766 and substitute the identical Senate Bill 7854, third reading calendar 1198. On page 43, Senator Laval moved to discharge from the Committee on Transportation Assembly Bill number 297 and substitute the identical Senate Bill 1119, third reading calendar 1209. On page 53, Senator Murphy moved to discharge from the Committee on Environmental Conservation Assembly Bill number 9219 and substitute the identical Senate Bill 6729, third reading calendar 1333. On page 53, Senator Marcelino moved to discharge from the Committee on Environmental Conservation Assembly Bill number 10113 and substitute the identical Senate Bill 7223, third reading calendar 1337. On page 56, Senator Ort moved to discharge from the Committee on Mental Health Assembly Bill number 7226A and substituted the identical Senate Bill 7584, third reading calendar 1369. On page 57, Senator Bonasek moved to discharge from the Committee on Crime Victims, Crime and Corrections Assembly Bill number 1819A and substitute the identical Senate Bill 1608A, third reading calendar 1382. On page 62, Senator Bonasek moved to discharge from the Committee on Codes Assembly Bill number 9455 and substitute the identical Senate Bill 6683, third reading calendar 1453. And on page 64, Senator Funke moved to discharge from the Committee on Consumer Protection Assembly Bill number 7610E and substitute the identical Senate Bill 4771E, third reading calendar 1489.
Substitutions are also ordered. Messages from the Governor, reports of standing committees, reports of select committees, communications and reports of state officers, motions and resolutions. Senator DeFrancisco.
Mr. President, I wish to call up Senator Seward's bill print number 2346, recalled from the Assembly, which is now at the desk.
Secretary will read.
Calendar number 839 by Senator Seward, Senate Print 2346, enactment of tax law.
I now move to reconsider the vote by which the bill was passed.
Secretary will call the roll on reconsideration.
Addabbo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young. Ayes 45.
I now offer the following amendments.
The amendments are received.
Next, I wish to call up Senator Marchionne's Bill Print 5792A, recalled from the Assembly, which is now at the desk.
The Secretary will read.
Calendar number 502 by Senator Marchionne, Senate Print 5792A, enactment of criminal procedure law.
I now move to reconsider the vote by which the bill was passed.
Call roll on reconsideration.
Adabo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young, ayes 45.
I now offer the following amendments.
The amendments are received, and I'm going to ask for some order in the House, please.
On page 18, I offer the following amendments to Senator Hannon's bill, calendar 673, print 6767A, and ask that said bill retain its place on the third reading calendar.
Amendments are received. The bill shall return its place on third reading.
On page 40, I now offer the following amendments to Senator Murphy's bill, calendar 1180, Senate print 7004, and ask that the bill retain its place on the third reading calendar.
Amendments are received. The bill shall retain its place on third reading.
On page 52, I offer the following amendments to Senator Marcelino's bill, calendar 1323, print number 6837A, and ask that the bill retain its place on the third reading calendar.
The amendments are received. The bill shall retain its place on third reading.
And finally, I move to recommit Senate print 7772A, calendar 1515 by Senator Laval, and ask that it retain its place on the third reading. No, I don't mean that.
Say anything yet.
Okay, I've got to say it again. I move to recommit Senate print number 7772A, calendar number 1515, which is on the order of third reading, to the Committee on Rules.
It is so ordered.
Thank you. Would you please recognize Senator Valesky?
Senator Valesky.
President, on behalf of Senator Avella, on page 24, I offer the following amendments to Calendar 825, Senate Bill 7031, and ask that said bill retain its place on the third reading calendar.
The amendments are received. The bill shall retain its place on third reading. We are having a little difficulty, though, trying to hear what is taking place. So if everyone will please take your conversations outside the chamber, we'd appreciate that. Senator DeFrancisco.
Yes, can we now take up previously adopted see if the person's here, wait. Previously adopted resolution 6058, Senator Kennedy. Read the title only and call on Senator Kennedy to speak.
Secretary will read.
Legislative resolution number 6058 by Senator Kennedy, mourning the death of Jesse Edward Nash, Jr., distinguished citizen and devoted member of his community.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I rise today to honor the remarkable life of Jesse Edward Nash, Jr., who passed away on May 11th at the age of 90. Mr. President, imagine for a second that it's 1965 at Canisius College in Buffalo, New York. The student body had a small population of African-American students looking to change the world around them, starting with the lack of leadership positions for African-American students. These students had grit. They had a message. They had energy. All they needed was a mentor to guide them. And they found this and more in a first-year sociology professor, Jesse Edward Nash, Jr., who helped them found the Afro-American Society seeking constructive ways to advance civil rights. That was Jesse Nash, always seeking constructive change to the people and communities around him, frustrated with the lack of advancement for inner-city residents. Mr. Nash took action by serving as the executive director of the Model Cities Agency from 1967 to 1971. Disappointed with the lack of health care access on Buffalo's east side, Mr. Nash worked tirelessly to establish a health center in 1972, which has since been dedicated in his name. Noticing a lack of academic research in African American studies, Mr. Nash focused his career on urban power structures and their effect on the black community. You see, Mr. Jesse Nash, Jr. came from a family of doers. His father, the Reverend Jesse Edward Nash, Sr., was a longtime pastor of the Michigan Avenue Baptist Church in Buffalo, helping to bring branches of the Urban League and NAACP to Buffalo. His mother, Frances Jackson Nash, was the solid rock, helping his father help all people throughout his life. Jesse Nash Jr. followed in his parents' footsteps, seeking ways to give back. He founded 78 Restoration, focused on community development, and created the Emerson Row Apartments for low-income individuals. Mr. Nash spearheaded the Buffalo Waterfront Alternative Study, the War Memorial Stadium Restoration Project, and the Erie Community College City Campus Feasibility Study. Among civic groups, Mr. Nash was a member of Alpha Sigma Nu, the Jesuit National Honor Society, Omega Psi Phi, a lifetime member of the NAACP, and vice president of the Buffalo Urban League. And as a professor concerned with education and health access, he gave back through service on the College Council of SUNY Buffalo State, the New York State Commission on Minorities and the Health-Related Professions in Higher Education, as well as on the boards of the Child and Family Services, the Millard Fillmore Gates Hospital, and the Erie County Industrial Development Agency. Mr. Nash is survived by his wife of 65 years, Hortense Nash, 2 sons, George Raymond and Jesse Edward Nash III, and 1 daughter, Deborah Franklin. Jesse Edward Nash Jr., it was clear from his first year as a professor at Canisius that he would do great things. Over his life, he showed that determination and grit, combined with kindness and being a gentle soul. He demonstrated that with these traits, an individual can go very far in life and have a resounding impact on his or her community. Buffalo and New York thank Jesse Edward Nash Jr. for a lifetime of commitment to Buffalo, New York State, and this great nation. His example will be revered for generations to come. Mr. President, thank you for your indulgence, and I would ask that the honor of the House be given to the Nash family at this time. Thank you very much.
The resolution was previously adopted on June 2nd of this year. Francisco.
Senator Kennedy has agreed to open this up for co-sponsorship.
The resolution is open for co-sponsorship. Should you choose not to be a co-sponsor, please notify the desk.
Next, would you take up previously adopted Resolution 6079 by Senator Serino, read in its entirety, and call on Senator Serino.
The Secretary will read.
Legislative Resolution number 6079 by Senator Serino, honoring Chase Petrowski upon the occasion of his designation as recipient of a Liberty Medal, the highest honor bestowed upon an individual by the New York State Senate. Whereas it is the sense of this legislative body to recognize and pay tribute to those young people within the great Empire State who have made strong contributions to their communities and who serve as role models for their peers. And whereas attendant to such concern and in full accord with its long-standing traditions, this legislative body is justly proud to honor Chase Petrowski upon the occasion of his designation as recipient of a Liberty Medal, the highest honor bestowed upon an individual by the New York State Senate. And whereas the New York State Senate Liberty Medal was established by resolution and is awarded to individuals who have merited special commendation for exceptional, heroic, or humanitarian acts on behalf of the fellow New Yorkers. And whereas 7-year-old Chase Petrowski of Beacon, New York, was playing outside of his home on Thursday, April 12, 2016, when he spotted a forest fire and immediately alerted his mother, who dialed 911. And whereas Beacon City firefighters subsequently responded to the call and extinguished the 10-foot-high flames. And whereas in addition to this most prestigious recognition, Chase Petrowski received an official Beacon Fire Department helmet and T-shirt for his quick, astute, and heroic actions. And whereas, with his sense of civic duty and his commitment to others, Chase Petrowski represents the best development of a potential which is inherent in our most precious resource, our youth. Now, therefore, be it resolved that this legislative body pauses deliberations to honor Chase Petrowski upon his occasion of his designation as recipient of a Liberty Medal, the highest honor bestowed upon an individual by the New York State Senate, and be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution suitably engrossed be transmitted to Chase Petrowski.
Senator Serino.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today, I am honored to have the opportunity to recognize a small hero who played a big role in ensuring the safety of our community. Meet 7-year-old Chase Petrowski of Beacon. Chase, can you please stand up and wave? Hi. Chase was playing outside of his home on Thursday, April 21st, when he spotted a forest fire burning nearby. He acted immediately and alerted his mother, Tara, who dialed 911. Beacon City firefighters responded to the call and were subsequently able to extinguish the 10-foot-high flames. Chase's quick thinking and immediate action enabled our firefighters to respond and contain a fire that had the potential to cause significant damage. I read somewhere that a true hero isn't measured by the size of his strength, but by the strength of his heart. Let me tell you, this young man has a huge heart. When he was made an honorary fireman by the city of Beacon, Chase was quick to say that he thought the firemen who responded were the real heroes. But I think that all of us here can agree that Chase is also a true hero. It is my honor to award him with our state's highest mark of distinction, the New York State Liberty Medal. If this action is any indication, this young man has a very bright future ahead of him, and it is my hope that his good work will inspire others throughout our community and our state to act in the face of trouble. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Serino. The resolution was previously adopted on June 2nd. At this time, we'd like to extend our congratulations on the award recipient, Chase Petrowski, and also commend him for taking such outstanding action at such a young age. You're truly a young leader and can be very impressed with your actions. So on behalf of the Senate, please rise, and we extend the courtesies of the House to you and your family. Senator DeFrancisco.
I just want to tell Chase, good job, and he got to get a day off of school. Wasn't that good? Terrific. Please open this up for co-sponsorship.
Reso is open for co-sponsorship. Should you choose not to be co-sponsor, notify the desk. Senator DeFrancisco.
Passed. Could we now take up Senate Resolution 6144 by Senator Hamilton and read the title only and call on Senator Hamilton.
Secretary will read.
Legislative Resolution number 6144 by Senator Hamilton, memorializing Governor Andrew M. Cuomo to proclaim June 2016 as Caribbean American Heritage Month in the state of New York.
Mr. President, I rise to salute the past, present, and ongoing contributions of the Caribbean American community to New York in recognition of June as Caribbean Heritage Month. We take this moment to honor our intertwined history with the Caribbean since New York was New Amsterdam. Caribbean immigration didn't start in the 20th century. It is essential to the founding and foundations of this country. There is certainly no shortage of distinguished Caribbean Americans to name. Founding Father Alexander Hamilton, former Secretary of State Colin Powell, actor and singer Harry Belafonte, basketball star Patrick Ewing, former U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder, actor Sidney Poitier, and the late Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm. And I will not neglect those whose names are not bold-faced in papers, those people in our history who did not migrate voluntarily, and people whose jobs are behind the scenes, those who have been scientists, inventors, caretakers, transit workers, or secretaries. Just a few of the jobs we don't take the time to recognize often enough. Caribbean Americans worked in all sectors of New York State, the capital of the world. Through generations, we have built family and community. Those families include my own. My 101-year-old great-uncle Robbie Tate is still alive today, who migrated to New York City from St. Thomas Parish in Barbados with my great-grandparents. They continued to share stories with my family about our rich Caribbean history, of growing up as a third-generation Barbadian. They taught me the value of hard work and advocating for the people. My uncle served our country bravely in the U.S. Army during our country's most difficult times. Caribbean immigrants have been contributing to the well-being of American society since its founding. During Caribbean American Heritage Month, we honor the courage and perseverance of the Caribbean American community. Families with roots in the Caribbean like mine and millions across the state pursued their American dream, sharing an immigrant story held in common with countless millions of fellow Americans. I take this moment to honor them and their sacrifice. Often overlooked in the immigrant experience is the propensity to overcome barriers. The barriers may relate to language, Spanish and French being among the languages Caribbean Americans can lay claim to. Culture shock, a difference in the pace or cold weather, and navigating one's way far from home. Without family, familiarity, despite the challenges, those generations of migrants and the Caribbean Americans' descendants persisted, persevered, and created the largest Caribbean population outside the Caribbean here in New York. A vibrant and impactful representation enriches our economy and institution and communities. I can't hear myself talk.
Can I have some order in the House, please?
Thank you. I appreciate that. Now I have to start all over again for the videotape.
We're listening.
You're listening? All right. Excuse me, those of you who are watching. As a Caribbean American, my own experience ensuring the celebrations and culture began with the New York Caribbean Carnival Week presented during Labor Day week by the West Indian American Day Carnival Association in my district, which draws 2 million people and brings in $300 million in revenue. Excuse me. I can't hear myself talk for the second time. I'm going to start all over again. As a Caribbean American, my own experience in sharing the celebration and culture began with New York Caribbean Carnival Week presented during the Labor Day week by the West Indian American Day Carnival Association in my district, which draws 2 million people and brings $300 million in revenue to the state. It is our pleasure to celebrate Caribbean American heritage with and host people from all over the world. Last Labor Day, I met people from California and Louisiana, from New Zealand and Australia, and from Spain to Portugal, all coming to celebrate with us. I invite all my colleagues and all New Yorkers who haven't already come to our carnival to visit, and those who have come, I invite you to come celebrate with us again. You're welcome to march with us in the parade with the sweet sounds of steel band, the only instrument invented in the 20th century. And I just want to say thank you all for letting me speak here today, and God bless the Caribbean, and to the Caribbean islands of Jamaica, St. Kitts and Nevis, Barbados, Bahamas, St. Lucie, Puerto Rico, Aruba, St. Martin, Haiti, Guyana, and Dominican Republic. Thank you very much. And Brooklyn, yes. Thank you.
Resolution was previously adopted on June 7th.
Resolution up for co-sponsorship.
The resolution is also open for co-sponsorship. Should you choose not to be a co-sponsor, please notify the desk.
I'd like to call an immediate Rules Committee meeting in 332 of the Capitol, and please bring your tablets in case you want to read the bills.
There will be an immediate meeting in the Rules Committee, room 332. Please bring tablets and please return them to the chamber. The Senate will stand at ease. Senate will come to order.
If we can return to the reports of standing committees, please.
We'll return to reports of standing committees.
There's a report of the Rules Committee at the desk. Is there not?
There is, and the Secretary will read.
Thank you.
Senator Flanagan from the Committee on Rules reports the following bills. Senate Print 228 by Senator Laval, an act to amend the education law. Senate 426B by Senator Marcelino, an act to amend the vehicle and traffic law. Senate 434 by Senator Gallivan, an act to amend the general business law. Senate 845 by Senator Robach, an act to amend the corrections law. Senate 992 by Senator Rivera, an act to amend the executive law. Senate 1109B by Senator Golden, enact amend the penal law. Senate 1147C by Senator Avella, enact amend the agriculture and markets law. Senate 1483A by Senator Laval, enact amend the executive law. Senate 1633 by Senator Bonasek, enact amend the county law. Senate 1647 by Senator Robach, enact amend the environmental conservation law. Senate 1994A by Senator Golden, enact amend the criminal procedure law. Senate 2020 by Senator Hassel-Thompson, enact amend the penal law. Senate 2060A by Senator DeFrancisco, enact amend the public health law. Senate 2104 by Senator Laval, enact amend the vehicle and traffic law. Senate 2134 by Senator Flanagan, enact amend the highway law. Senate 2135 by Senator Flanagan, enact amend the highway law. Senate 2150 by Senator Carlucci, enact amend the social services law. Senate 2160 by Senator Hannan, enact amend the executive law. Senate 2653A by Senator Griffo, enact amend the highway law. Senate 2847 by Senator Lanza, enact amend the public health law. Senate 2924 by Senator DeFrancisco, enact amend the state finance law. Senate 2941A by Senator Griffo, enact amend the executive law. Senate 3067A by Senator Young, enact amend the public authorities law. Senate 3094 by Senator Marchone, enact amend the executive law. Senate 3627 by Senator Ort, enact amend the corrections law. Senate 3847 by Senator Lanza, enact amend the mental hygiene law. Senate 4237A by Senator Gallivan, enact amend the tax law. Senate 4603 by Senator Griffo, enact amend the state finance law. Senate 4737 by Senator Carlucci, enact amend the town law. Senate 4964B by Senator Ritchie, enact amend the vehicle and traffic law. Senate 5131 by Senator DeFrancisco, enact in relation to authorizing. Senate 5270 by Senator Little, enact amend the mental hygiene law. Senate 5355A by Senator Marchone, enact amend the general business law. Senate 5601C by Senator Golden, enact amend the state finance law. Senate 5637A by Senator Seward, enact amend the vehicle and traffic law. Senate 5941A by Senator Espaillat, enact amend the criminal procedure law. Senate 6034A by Senator DeFrancisco, enact amend the vehicle and traffic law. Senate 6320 by Senator Ranzenhofer, enact amend the education law. Senate 6334 by Senator Latimer, enact amend the public officers law. Senate 6373 by Senator Ravella, enact amend the education law. Senate 6446 by Senator Croce, enact amend the executive law. Senate 6509 by Senator Marcelino, enact amend the education law. Senate 6572 by Senator DeFrancisco, enact amend the tax law. Senate 6583B by Senator Hannan, enact amend the social services law. Senate 6689 by Senator Serino, enact amend the corrections law. Senate 6715 by Senator Kruger, enact amend the public health law. Senate 6733 by Senator Funky, enact authorize. Senate 6746 by Senator Farley, enact amend the education law. Senate 6865A by Senator Ranzenhofer, enact amend the public officers law. Senate 6926 by Senator Golden, enact amend the executive law. Senate 6949A by Senator Gallivan, enact amend the public officers law. Senate 6954A by Senator Little, enact amend the private housing finance law. Senate 6963 by Senator Prasad, enact amend the elder law. Senate 7025 by Senator Venditto, enact amend the tax law. Senate 7067A by Senator Savino, enact amend the social services law. Senate 7082A by Senator Ravella, enact amend the Family Court Act. Senate 7127 by Senator Croce, enact amend the executive law. Senate 7191 by Senator Gallivan, enact amend the executive law. Senate 7224 by Senator Murphy, enact amend the executive law. Senate 7246 by Senator DeFrancisco, enact amend the criminal procedure law. Senate 7252 by Senator Ort, enact amend the corrections law. Senate 7408A by Senator Young, enact amend the county law. Senate 7501 by Senator Seward, enact amend the environmental conservation law. Senate 7521 by Senator Farley, enact in relation to authorizing. Senate 7529 by Senator Hannan, enact amend the public health law. Senate 7563 by Senator Murphy, enact amend the vehicle and traffic law. Senate 7619 by Senator Ort, enact amend the State Administrative Procedure Act. Senate 7653 by Senator Bonasek, enact amend the alcoholic beverage control law. Senate 7660A by Senator Murphy, an act to amend the State Administrative Procedure Act. Senate 7948 by Senator Robach, an act in relation to authorizing. Senate 7959 by Senator Larkin, an act to authorize. Senate 7973 by Senator Farley, an act to amend the Public Authorities Law. Senate 7976 by Senator Valesky, an act to amend the State Finance Law. Senate 7992 by Senator Laval, an act to authorize. Senate 8027 by Senator Little, an act to amend the Environmental Conservation Law. And Senate 8028 by Senator Little, concurrent resolution of the Senate and Assembly. All bills reported direct to third reading.
I move to accept the report of the Rules Committee.
All in favor of accepting the Committee on Rules report signify by saying aye. Opposed? Report of the Rules Committee is accepted. Senator DeFrancisco.
We now return to messages.
Motions and
resolutions.
resolutions. We will return to motions and resolutions.
Wish to call up Senator Young's bill, print number 3671, recalled from the Assembly, which is now at the desk.
Secretary will read.
Calendar number 490 by Senator Young, Senate Print 3671, an act to amend the Criminal Procedure Law.
I now move to reconsider the vote by which the bill was passed.
Call the roll on reconsideration.
Addabbo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young, I 60.
I now offer the following amendments.
Amendments are received.
Would you please recognize Senator Valesky?